All right, good morning, everyone. It's Mr. Patterson here. It is it's Wednesday, April the 22nd, and I hope everyone's doing well. I'm just going to give you a quick walkthrough here and then let you go. So last week we were looking at drawing and design. I did get a bunch of submissions there, but make sure if you haven't done it, then you can catch up, and you can contact me anytime. You can email me. I'm also doing some online tutorials if you're struggling with it. And now we're on to week 3. So week 3, the first day I sent out a good morning. There's a Google form here. I got a lot of submissions there, and then a quick video here walking through the assignment. And then on Monday morning, I sent out this assignment about planning, and then today this is going out here. So we're basically building a deck. That's what we're doing. I call it outdoor structures, and we may do more, but we're focusing on deck building right now. And so we looked at the planning stage on Monday. Today we're looking at foundations, and so I want you to have a look at the Google slide presentation. It's the same Google slide as Monday, but there's an additional section today about foundations, and then there's a question sheet here. Okay, so let me just, I'll open this up. Okay, the slide presentation, and let me just zoom in here. Okay, so the slide presentation so we had a look at, so we had a look at this first page here on Monday, outdoor structures, planning, and then there's a video series we're having a look at, produced by Home Depot, but this is not a Home Depot commercial. Okay, there's lots of other building centers out there, and you looked at permits, you looked at deck permits, and the city of Brampton, and that kind of thing. Today, here's the new page here. It's foundations. All structures need to sit on a firm base or foundation. Outdoor structures use a variety of bases for support, from piers for decks to patio stones. Questions. Okay. As for what they look at in the video, if I play this video, they're building a deck on the back of a house, and it looks a little bit like this. So here's a SketchUp drawing of a house, and what you're looking at is very similar to what they're building in the video. And this first video just deals with foundations, and this is as far as the video takes us. So today this is as far as we get with the deck. On Monday, we start to actually frame the thing out of wood. But I just want you to understand, before you watch the video moves pretty fast. And so I just want you to understand a couple of concepts here. So the first is, I hope you can kind of look at this and understand that what happens here, this is sort of the foundation for a deck. It's a very typical one. You pour concrete into these things called sonotubes, which you'll see in the video. There's like a round cardboard form. And on top of the sonotube, when the concrete's still wet, you put these things, which are called metal saddles. So I'm going to grab one of these and lift it up so we can have a closer look at it. It's called a saddle, and basically it has a piece of rebar welded to the bottom of it, and that rebar dowel sticks in the wet concrete. So these have to be put in when the concrete's wet, like that. And you line these up, and you notice with these saddles, if I zoom in here, with these saddles, we're going to have a post that sits down inside that saddle. Okay, and that's what's going to support the deck. So that's the first thing. The second thing is this area here. I mean, there's grass all around here, and you don't just build a deck on top of grass and let the grass grow under the thing. You have to do something about that. So you can put people put landscape fabric down, and then on top of the landscape fabric, generally they put something called limestone screening, which is like a very fine gravel. Has a because of the lime content, it inhibits weeds and grass and that kind of thing from growing underneath your deck, which you don't want. Okay, the next thing that I want you to notice here is the first piece of wood that goes in is this thing against the house called a ledger board. Okay, so that gets screwed into the house basically, or attached to the house using masonry anchors. that get drilled into the brick and then held in place with or screwed in. You'll see it in the video. It's a bolt. You tighten the bolt basically. Okay. Now what else? When you dig here, okay, there's another concept here called the frost line, and so let's just kind of zoom out and go underneath here. So you notice that these piers are sitting way below the grass, way below the surface, and as a matter of fact, they're sitting 4 feet down. Okay, 4 feet below the grade being the ground here. And the reason for that is because of something called the frost line. So the frost line that's how deep into the ground the frost goes. So in other words, in February, if you try to dig a hole in your backyard, it's going to be very hard because the ground is frozen. Well, the question is, how far down does that freezing go? How far down does the ground get frozen? And in this part of Ontario where we are, what they say is basically in a really bad winter, that frost, that freezing ground might go down close to 4 feet. Okay, if it's a warm winter, it won't go down that far. But in a very cold winter, then yes, it could go down almost as far as 4 feet. And therefore, anytime you put a foundation like this in, it has to go down 4 feet, and it has to rest on dirt that is not going to freeze. And that's the whole idea behind this concept of a frost line. If you go down 2 feet and you pour these things, and if the ground under these piers, these are called piers, if the ground under these piers freezes, you know what happens when ground freezes? It expands because there's moisture in it, and when moisture freezes, it expands. Okay, so if the ground under these things freezes, then it lifts it up, or what we say, it heaves. Okay, that's called frost heave. So you have to go down 4 feet. Okay, and it's a bit of a pain, but I mean that's how it is. And I think that's everything I want to talk about here. Okay, so I'll use this drawing on Monday or next week. I'll use this drawing to we're going to build the deck in this drawing as we go, and I'm going to have you do a bit of drawing as well, in SketchUp or manually. Okay, so back to this page. So you're going to jump in here. You're going to answer this. Here's the question sheet here. Okay, so this one says foundations, and just go through here. Okay, I've made a real point of saying this is not a Home Depot commercial. Okay, there's other stores around. But anyway, have a look at this. The last question here, okay, make a list of the materials you think are needed to install the pier footings. There's not very many of them, but I want you to watch the video, see how they're doing it. And when I say materials, I'm not talking about tools. Don't worry about that. I'm talking about materials, the things that get used up when you build these piers, okay? And when you build the whole foundation, okay, the screening, and that kind of board and that kind of stuff. Okay, there's not very many of them, but watch the video closely and you're going to make a list of materials that you think are needed to do that. Okay, everyone, have a great day. Have a good weekend. The next time I talk to you is on Monday. I am going to post, though, I will post a tutorial time if you want to come on. If there's anything you don't understand, if you're still working on the drawings, if you want help with that. I've already helped a number of people. And we sit there, you don't see me and I don't see you, but we can hear each other and you can watch my screen. Okay, that's the cool thing. You can watch my screen and I can use Google SketchUp and I can show you whatever you're stuck on. Okay, that is it. Have a great